Everyone, Moose here, Airguns, Michigan. We are live on Tuesday night, the day after Memorial Day, and we got Tom Holland joining us. This guy, Tom Holland.
Get rid of that. See me better.
Yeah, there you go.
Change the light a little. There we go.
So, let me.
Busy week.
Yeah. So far, it's actually been really kind of quiet for me. So
well, I got some interesting things going on. So.
Right on. Just pulling up my YouTube on the other page so I can see it. There we go. So what's going on, everyone? What's going on? Hopefully you guys are all having a great Tuesday, that day back to work.
Oh, that's my one.
The bearded air gunner, Dave's in the house. Peter's in the house. What's going on, you guys? Hey, do me a favor before you guys forget. Give this video a thumbs up. Help me out. Show some love. Support the channel.
Subscribe.
Right. So,
need all the help. I need all the help I can get.
Right.
Then I can go live. I got a couple more to go. I got 25. That's it.
That's it? 25?
25 to go. While we're waiting for everyone to join, I do have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have an FX impact?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
When the bottle unscrews from the gun, as I do this one, this is a 10 cubic inch regular 3,000 psi paintball tank, CO2 tank, whatever you want to, I guess, use this for. This is 3,000 psi rated. Now, my question is, when you unscrew the tank from your impact, is it the same thread as that, do you think, as a regular 3,000 psi tank?
I don't know.
Because I need to determine that before I buy the Saber Tactical dual bottle adapter, because I want to put two of these onto that adapter. Screw these two on and then put this underneath my pistol facing me.
Well, I'll tell you what. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can
find not right now. It's not an immediate thing. I'm just curious. That's all.
Too bad. Now you got to wait. You already got me curious. It doesn't look like it. No. This is my compact bottle. Look at how small that hole is. I mean, my little finger barely goes into it.
Mine too. That's it.
That to me looks smaller than the bottle that you're showing me.
It does. Oh, there's a pin.
Let me grab them. Let me grab a pair of calipers. I'll tell you how big the inside diameter is.
You have a pin in that though. That's a CO2 tank, right?
No, it's not.
It's not. I'm confused now. I am confused.
That's high pressure air.
It is. So the valve is built inside of that?
No, that's just, well, it's just a check valve, just so that I can unscrew it. It's got air in it right now.
Oh, okay.
But let me see if I can get my
to give you an idea, if you have a Ninja paintball bottle, see this beautiful device in my hand?
It's 11 millimeters.
Okay, because
that will not fit in this tank.
This is a 5/8 This is
Yeah.
a 5/8 by 18, I believe.
That won't work in here.
Ah.
0.39 or basically 0.4 inches.
FX is 18 by 1.5. I know that, but I'm trying to figure out if this is 18 by 1.5.
I don't know.
I don't know either. My caliper's in my car. Now, just curious. If you have a paintball regulator laying around, such as this, it would be curious if this threads into your bottle, then it will work. If it doesn't, then this will not work. But I just want to determine that before I dump $100.25 on that thing. So I might have to build one.
You can always buy these little mini bottles to put on your gun.
That's a point too.
I mean, these I think they're roughly $200 for these little ones.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem getting a pair of those. How long is that roughly in length?
I don't really have a tape measure around.
No, either.
You know what? Yes, I do. Oh, tape measure! Check out my tape measure.
And I don't. Wait a minute, I should have one here.
It is 8.5 inches.
Okay, then that'll
it with my tape measure.
Yeah, mine's in my car. I got. This is probably about 7, if I had to guess.
Hey, you're
so
missing.
That would work.
Hey, you're missing the joke.
No, I'm not. I got it.
Sorry, I thought that was freaking funny.
I just need a $1 bill. That's about it.
Right.
Good. So good
yeah,
enough.
like 8.5
So
inches.
I can make that work if I get a couple of those tanks.
Yeah, and
I didn't think
I what?
See, I didn't think they made a tank that small.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the tanks were like monster things. Now that I know it's only an inch or two longer than this thing,
well,
I'll get 2 of those and go with it.
That's the tank off of a compact. So, but I replaced my compact tank with a 580 bottle.
Okay.
So that's why I've got it laying around.
Because I would probably get 2 of those, and then I could face them backwards onto that mount, and I'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Maybe, but now I got to see what the screw is. So that screw that holds that mount in is probably an 18 by 1.5. Now not now. I'll have to figure this out. So,
right.
Just off the top of my head, it's not going to work. Even with those 2 bottles, I got to figure out how to attach it to the gun. That's my problem, my issue. I got to talk to my machinist. Maybe I'll have him make a block,
right?
Or I can make a block. So what's new? Anything?
Nope. Just I did a shit ton of video production today. I got one video that released today. That was the HW97K before and after.
That.
And then
some of that.
I finally took the BSA out, and dude, that thing is unreal, even at 50 yards. Like, I am blown away with the accuracy of that gun. I mean, for shooting 10.3 grain 177s in wind, it was still putting them down range.
Yep.
Like, you know, there's some really, really, really good groups that I shot out of that gun. And I mean, especially for just, you know, friggin' pulling the trigger. You know, I'm a fast shooter, so
that's the gun though.
Oh, dude. I'm in love with it. Dave says, killing and grilling and stupid work. Yeah, I know how that goes. What's up, Skinny Mitch? So we figured we'd talk a little bit about swaging, since you guys have talked about it, and we figured Tom's into that, so hopefully
I'm
he
trying
can
to
get some
find my
questions answered. Any of you guys out there that have any questions? Stuff going on, just stop aside, say hi. What's up, man? What's up?
Well, as far as swaging is concerned, I had GMI kind of contact me because I asked a question on Instagram. Do you follow Soren Drost at all?
I don't know.
Soren's in Denmark, and he is playing with Slugs out of a Red Wolf, and he had GMI dies made in their standard size, and I think it was, he said somewhere around 4.50 or a touch smaller. My dies are a little bit bigger than that, and he is getting absolutely phenomenal results out of it. So I asked him what was the size of that die, and in asking him that question, GMI actually got in touch with me and said, "We've been following your ass. We want to see if we can help you."
Nice.
So I'm like, this is my endeavor. I'm trying to get a slug to work out of a 12 foot-pound gun with the right barrel and the right blah, 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 blah. Well, speed it up a little bit. I'm at all hours of the morning talking to these guys, probably around between 5 and 7 this morning, back and forth about barrel sizes, what barrels that you have, what have you tried, what have you not tried. And I told them I have the poly barrels, choked and unchoked, the regular 17.7 twist in choked and unchoked, and I have a 1 in 16 and a 1 in 20 twist. And Lothar Walther just sent me a message this afternoon or early this morning that they are now producing a 177 1 in 36 or 35 twist.
Nice.
Which I will own rather shortly. That's another one I want to try. And I think a slower twist with the slugs is what everyone's figuring out. Everyone in the past said you need a faster twist to stabilize a slug. Yes, maybe at higher velocities, not at slower velocities. All the FX smooth twist and all of their slug liners and everything, they're like 1 in 22, 1 in 32. They're getting into the really, really slow twists. So we're going to possibly investigate that route.
Right on. Yeah, actually, like I said, I took out my BSA today, and I just wanted to get some pellets, and the pellets that I had, just get the thing kind of scoped, sighted in. And ironically, I really didn't have to do much because, I've already had it sighted in at 25. So at 50, it was pretty much the same, with the arc of the pellet. It was pretty much, still hitting close to where I was aiming. But I think later on this week, I'm going to take out your slugs and I'm going to do a slugger video on it. And, we're going to see what your slugs do at 50 yards.
Have you sent Nielsen's through it yet?
Nope. I don't even own any 177 Nielsen's.
Really? I was going to say, if you could send some Nielsen's through and they feel a little tight, mine are 5 thousandths smaller than his.
Right.
5 10,000ths. He goes 1780. I'm at 1775.
Right.
So I tell everyone that first. Try Nielsen's. If they fit too tight, try mine. That's all I can say.
Right. Yeah, I'm just going to go out and try yours. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to shoot 10-shot groups at 50 yards, and I'm going to go through them all, and, wherever they land, they land, and we'll go with that. I'm
gonna say for a beginning start of that gun, I'm also going to suggest start at the lower ones. Start at the 11 grain ones.
Oh, I'm gonna start at the babies. Yeah, as small as you sent, and then I'm just gonna work. I'm gonna go through them all. I'm just gonna try them out.
And I'm gonna just off the top of my head, I'm gonna say try the hollow points first. They're probably gonna group better than the solid points. That solid point is really a solid point. It's like kind of a flat nose, but I think you're gonna find that the hollow points are probably a little bit more aerodynamic than the solid ones are.
Right on.
So, which leads us, like you were saying about swaging before,
Yep.
the equipment that we have, like GMI, you could get an arbor press or a hammer and a thing, and for $200 and change, and buy a roll of wire from Corbin, and you're off and running at that point. So it's reasonably cheap. As the calibers get larger, the price does go up a little bit. I think it's only like the difference between a 177 and a 45 or a 35 is like $70 or something like that.
Right,
So
right.
it's not like where I get this for my 2S nose, and this is close to a $500 die at the end of the day. So they're 177s that GMI produce. I think they're about $260, and the guy's gonna not make me the GM dies as is advertised on the website. He says, "I will make you this to fit into your press."
Nice.
That's even better. I'm like, really? I'm gonna have I says, I'll pay for extra ones because they want to get me going. They're coming after me to do this.
Good.
So they're probably going to give me the first die, and I'm going to order 3 or 4 more of them directly from them and say, I want all the options of the base options, nose options. I want 2 different dies for that size, this size. I'll buy another $1,500 worth of dies. I don't have a problem with that. So, I mean, if they're willing to do something a little bit and work with me, and it's, I can get 5 dies for what Corbin charges me for 2.
Right, right.
We'll see what they're
Yeah, Charlie's saying that Airgun you sold me. I don't know who he's talking to about sold him an Airgun, but been using Nielsen's, and it also loves the cheap H&N 31 grain Grizzlies. Yeah, that's
a 22. Just by looking at the grains.
Yeah.
Ooh, I put too much.
Too much gin?
Yes. I was trying to finish the bottle off. I'm like, no, let me not do that. And I left a little bit. I'm kind of glad I did. But
just regular Diet Mountain Dew.
That's all there is. That's good. But with the swaging dies that I have from Corbin, because I know a couple of guys asked about how they actually work, I demonstrate how this die, the $500 die, works on my video that I have on my website. And what it is you have I don't have it on this one, but on the other one, there's a pin that sticks out in the front, and it goes in there. It's a little tough because I got to clean it. And this sits onto the press. And what happens is these two move independently from the arm. So this starts out down on the press, and the nose shape is built into this die. You cannot see it, the nose shape. So now that pin gives the hollow point of the nose. Now the ass end of that, the top side of the punch gives, that's a rebaited boat tail. That comes in the top. So when the process is done, the nose is formed inside the die, and there's a bleed hole there. You can see it off to the side.
Yeah.
And the nose is formed inside the die. Now, that's their higher end die. That's a true straight-walled slug where the sides of the slug just fold in. Now, you also have a cheaper version, which is about a $200 die or so if it hasn't gone up, and that's a semi-wad cutter design where you have the sides of the slug and there's a slight edge of like 15 thousandths before the nose is shaped. Now, the plus side of that type of a slug is it's a slightly cheaper die. You can see the difference in size. They're night and day. This is the current ones I'm using. This is the semi-wad cutter. Now, with the semi-wad cutter, you could probably see inside. You see daylight through it.
Yeah.
This is a straight walled die. The nose is not formed in this, just the diameter of the sides of the slug. The nose is made through the tip of the punch. Actually, this is the base. The base comes out through the bottom, and then the nose, as I scoop my, and the nose actually has a hollow in it, and the nose comes in the top, and these get squished. They're synchronized, so these two pieces get squished inside there, and it bleeds out. On this one, you can see the bleed hole there. There's a bleed hole there. There's two bleed holes in it because it's a different type of the die. It's smaller, so they have to relieve the pressure so the die doesn't split open. Now, the point and the base are formed from both of these two punches. So now I can change my nose shape by just buying another $50 punch in the front, and my diameter stays the same. As long as I want the same diameter, I just change a $50 punch or a $75 punch, I forget what it costs, to change my nose shape. With these other ones here, you have to change the entire die to get a new nose shape.
Now, you can also change the grains, right, by just how far down they come together. So
right,
you could,
but that works. It works the same way. Right, it works the same way on both of them, as far as adjusting the weight.
Okay.
So in that respect, for both of these methods, the cheaper one or the expensive one.
So that's trial by error as well, too, right? Because, like, I mean, you don't know exactly. You just kind of turn it out a half and then punch one and wait and see what it comes out.
What I first do, and this is what you should always do when you adjust these dies. What I do is I'll take the die and not put it in the press. And if this is the pin that the press pushes up in that action, what I'll do is I'll set them so these do not touch, so that they're a little bit apart. If these touch and have pressure and you give it that little extra oomph, you will split this in half. You will blow this up and ruin all your dies.
Right.
And I know that because I've already done it.
Right. Ask me how I know.
When I first started, and someplace around here, I don't have it in my die tray. I have this other die where it actually split open, clean in half, the threads snapped out, and the piece of it came out and hit me right in my face. And I was wearing safety glasses when I was doing it, and I'm very lucky I did. I was. Even doing something like that, you wouldn't think. And the amount of pressure with this particular press that I gave it, I wasn't leaning on it. It was just a nice, easy pressure, and boom, it just blew open. But yeah, I just adjust these till they don't touch, and then you're safe. And if you put the lead in and you feel a lot of resistance, that you're not going to, well, you could blow up the die by forcing it, but what that tells me, if you give it like a medium pressure and you do not see anything coming out of those bleed holes, that means one of these are adjusted too much and it's covering the bleed hole, not allowing it to bleed out.
Right.
So you got to go a little bit wider and a little bit wider until you feel it start to bleed out. And that'll give you the lightest projectile you can make. And with this particular die, it's probably somewhere around 7 to 7.5 grains for the lightest projectile. And I can make a 30 grain semi-wide cutaway. I could.
A 30 grain 177. You can watch it dribble out the end of your barrel.
And I'll just, I'm going to turn you off for a second here. Just move it. But I got something to show you. It's in my desk here. These are the test slugs that they sent from Corbin. Now, if you could see the difference, these slugs are probably 32 and 45 grains.
So those are big slugs.
These are big. Compared to what you're looking at here is compared to these, I'm trying to find the camera. This is an 11 grain piece of, or this is a 15 grain piece of lead that I make the 11 grain ones out of. So that'll give you an idea how big of one you can actually make with a setup like this. The sky's the limit, really.
So now your press, you could easily buy 22 caliber, maybe even 25 caliber.
25 would probably be a little bit. You probably have to lean into it a little bit, but I could with the 177, regardless of weight, I could do 2 fingers on the lever. It's not as hard as you think. The mechanical advantage of that the Corbin press gives over a regular like RCBS rock chucker or something like that, the single stage, it's probably threefold. The amount of pressure.
What's the cost on one of those presses that you have?
They're probably approaching the $800 realm right now. I think this was $760 or $780. And there's also an attachment you could put on here where you could screw in a top and the bottom where you can make it an arbor press. So you can press bearings out with the thing and other things too. So if you wanted to use that press with GMI dies, because those are squished dies, if you don't want to go for $500 for one of these things and you're using it for yourself for hunting or competition or whatever, that's definitely the way to go, particularly for your own use. For as little as I do sell, like Michigan Airgunner said, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to set it up. Once you're pumping them out and you get a nice rhythm, I'm watching TV or a show, and I'll be putting these things from, as I watch TV, I could probably make about $350 an hour if I'm distracted here and there. If I just put my mound out to just pump them out, I could probably do $400 or $500 an hour with it.
Wow.
Putting my mind to it.
And how consistent are they? Are they like, do you have to sort away them after that?
No, absolutely not. They all come from the same die. And every once in a while, what you have to do is you got to take, and this is a perfect example. This is kind of tough bringing it out. It's got a little gunk in there, the wax, the lube that you get. It's like $8 for a whole tin of it. I got like 3 of them. One of them is going to last me a lifetime plus. So, I got enough forever. But some of these they get. See, that should fall right out of there. This is a bit tough right now. It hasn't been used in a while. This is my perfect round nose. A little bit of 91% rubbing alcohol. Douse it, clean it out with a swab, and it's loose as a goose, and it's ready to go.
Right.
And you have to take them. You have to take them apart and clean them every 2,000 or 3,000 rounds or so. It's not like after 100 you got to clean it. Every once in a while I just wipe them down, and it makes it a little bit easier as you go. But I pull them off every 2,000 rounds and clean them out.
Right on.
But
And then, just out of curiosity, what's a coil of lead go for? How many rounds can you get out of a coil?
it depends. It depends on how many grains I'm making them. They come in coils of 10-pound coils. So there's 7,000 grains in a pound, and there's 70,000 grains of 70,000 grains in a 10-pound spool. Now that sounds like a lot, but make a bunch of 15-grain slugs, and you realize that that $50 spool might only get you 3,000 slugs or something like that.
Right. You better be making the ones that you want.
Yeah. Well, that's why whenever I make batches for me to test, if I don't know, because between all of these dies that I have, between the nose shape, the base shape, the different weights, I got literally thousands of combinations between all of these. So it's probably more finding a slug that's more balanced in weight than anything. And a perfect example of that is I'll take a 15-grain hollow base slug where the base is like a pellet. It's a hollow base and the edges are thin, so they blow out and everything, just like a pellet does. And I'll shoot that 15-grain pellet out of a TX 200 at 30 yards, and I probably wouldn't be able to hit this computer screen with half of them at 30 yards. Change that same pellet to a flat base, I'll put them all inside of a dime. And that's just changing the base shape. That's all that's doing. And what that's doing is it's actually making the slug shorter because it's changing the center of gravity, because now that hollow base that would normally be hollow is now filled up with lead. So it's going to be a shorter projectile, changing the center of balance of it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to try out some of those GMIs once you get those dies.
Yep.
So I'll at least be able to give you feedback on your stuff with the BSA gun. As it is my only 177.
And if they're willing to make me a set of dies that aren't stupid expensive, like Corbin's equipment is beyond anything. The problem is with Corbin's, if I ordered a 22 caliber die now, I might have it in 6 months.
Wow.
GMI is guaranteeing that, they can get it between 7 and 21 days in my hands.
Okay.
So that's almost a no-brainer at that point.
Right.
So,
but like you said, there's a difference, right? Because the Corbin or the GMIs are a smash base, right? So they're two halves. You put your lead in, you put it together, you stick it in, you press, and then the press just flattens it down.
Right. But they flat out told me in the email this morning, they will make me this.
Oh, okay.
To fit into my press.
I got you.
So I won't have to fumble with this thing, taking it apart, putting it together, taking each one out.
Yeah, God, that would slow down production, wouldn't it?
Yep.
I mean, with yours, once you lift it up, does the
push it down, pull it up, done.
Pellet pop.
That's why I said I can pump out probably 400 of them an hour if I'm not distracted and
right.
Another beer at the fridge and stuff like that,
Right. Got to get you a mini fridge underneath your desk.
I am working on that. That's in the works.
Facebook Marketplace, bro. You live in New York, dude. Your next door neighbor's probably got one for sale on Facebook Marketplace.
I go to PC Richard half a mile away from here, and I walk for $100. I can walk away with a brand new one.
Yeah, there you go.
I know what I got. It's brand new. No one else's crap was in it.
Right.
I know what I got. It's under warranty, But the only thing is you have to remember with swaging is the coils of wire.
Yeah, I agree, Dave. We need 357 slugs.
This is what the wire comes in. And This is 170 wire to swage 177s. If I wanted to swage, this is 170 rather. I can also do slightly smaller stuff with that. But the 22 caliber, obviously there's not as much of it lengthwise because it's still 10 pounds in a spool. So you're going to get less 22s out of it than you would 177s, obviously. Just off the top of my head, when you swage them, you're gonna get some leftover shavings, as you can see here. These are some of the leftovers. And what I try to do is I try to get, as I drop it all over the floor, I try to get it so when it squishes out of either of these dies, it pushes out maybe between a ½ inch and 1 inch worth of extra, because you want that little extra to bleed off. You don't want too much, obviously, because then you're just wasting it. You're just pushing it through the die. And for every 5 pellets you waste that much, you can make another pellet out of it with the material. So adjusting it so it bleeds off the least, that's a little bit of a skill too. That's where cutting your cores, your little pieces, like that, consistently with each other come into play. That's why I made that little, if you look on my website,
I saw it.
Not to waste time, I get that little automatic thing, and it cuts them within 1/3 of a grain, 3/10 of a grain of each other, and they're pretty accurate. And I could cut about 500 of them in about 10 minutes with that thing. So I can always have an ample supply with me on hand, so I don't run out. But
Makes
and
sense.
I can adjust that. So heavier slug, lighter slug. But you want something to bleed out so the point forms properly. If it only bleeds off a little bit, it may not have enough pressure built up inside the die to fill out the nose. That's when you'll pull out a nose after it's popped out, and you'll see half the nose is cut off, or it doesn't look right, or it's not formed right. And sometimes one of those light ones will get in there, and the handle will go right down to the bottom, and I'll go, nope, that's not a keeper. And I'll take that off, and I'll throw that in a pile where, if I'm making a lighter slug, I'll use that for a lighter slug. If it's like a 15 grain slug and it doesn't make it, I could swage an 11 grain slug with that one. Not
right on.
a waste of lead.
What's up, Denny? So, yeah.
But that's
cool. I still want to try it. And I figured it'd be cool. For me, I would be more interested in 22 caliber. But I have a lot of 22 caliber guns, and I think it'd be cool. Yep, swedge stock. That's exactly right.
Yep.
357.
Now, that's also good to know. If you find something after I get, after you shoot my slugs, maybe you already have something in your hands that might work with that BSA you got or something else. Once you find that out, you can, see which one it is. We can find out the exact diameter of it, and you could get them direct from GMI, and then you could get that little, if it's for competition use and you're not going to pump them out to sell them with that little thing, you can't really, because of the time it takes to make one. But if you got to sit down for 2 hours and make enough for a match over the next weekend or something like that, you could do it yourself, and you're good to go.
Right. Yep.
You buy 2 or 3 spools of that. You don't have to buy. When you buy 4 spools, it's $50 a spool for 10 pounds. That's just what it is. And I'm with the way lead is going and the environmentalists and all that crap, I expect that to go up again in the future. But if you buy 4 of them, he'll charge you $180 for 4 of them. He'll knock $20 off. So I usually buy them in cases of 4 anyway. So, before the summer's out, I'm gonna have to get some because that spool I showed you, I have one full spool and that one, and that's it.
That's it.
That's all I got.
Right.
And I started with 120 pounds worth of lead. So,
Wow.
and when I reorder it, I'll buy another 120 pounds worth of lead.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Get it in one shot and be done with it.
yep, makes sense. Makes sense. So, anybody got any questions for Tom about swedging, or anybody else swedge, or I'm curious, like what you do with all that leftover lead. Like, you ever thought about melting it and pouring it into slugs?
Not offhand, but I do make some nice weights with what's left. And actually, this is what I just showed you was a tin can. Obviously, you can see the bottom of it. And this is what I had left from about 80 pounds worth of swaging pellets. This looks a lot heavier than it is. This is probably only about 5.5 or 6 pounds. So for every 8 spools that you're swaging, that's about what you're going to have left at the end of the day.
Right on.
So I'm guessing you probably lose, as a conservative estimate, you probably lose about 10%. That would be a
Tech is Tom's channel.
Field Target Tech. All one word. 2 T's. Target and Tech. 2 T's in it. .com.
Yep, and it's the same on YouTube. There's actually a Facebook page. You can do Field Target Tech across the board.
Yep, that's why I keep it all the same so everyone can find me easy. I did that on purpose. Like some guys have one name for their channel, a different name on their Instagram, a different thing and I'm running around trying to go, this guy had this YouTube channel, but I don't know his Instagram thing. I just keep everything the same so you can find me easy.
Right. Yeah, I don't think so, Dave. If anybody's getting that extra lead, it's going to be me. But,
my dad gets it, and he pours sinkers and fishing jigs with it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I like I said, my backstop out there, I've got, dude, I don't even know how much lead I've got laid out there right now. Buttload. And
well, you have to remember, H&N and JSB uses a little bit of bismuth and antimony in their alloys. So it swedges and releases a little bit more consistent. The lead that I use from Corbin's is 99.9% pure lead, and that's it. So if you recover that and melt it down, you might get one batch, lighter than the next because it might have different alloys in it. So you have to be careful with that.
Yeah, I plan on basically I'm going to pour slugs for my 457, and so I'm going to melt it all at the exact same time so that it's it's consistent across the board.
That's probably the way to do it.
I'm just going to pour it all in a big pot and then just continue to pour slugs until I'm out of lead. So.
Well, look at the JSB and the H&N videos of their factories, and
they
actually show you what they do in doing that. It's fascinating, actually. I'm watching those. I watch all of that stuff more than once.
I wish the PSA factory tour and the Air Arms factory tours that are out there were a little bit more in depth. They both companies are like, well, we got a lot of proprietary stuff that we don't want to show everybody. And it just kind of made for shit show freaking videos. But
they probably don't want to show you that they probably only got like 3 guys working in their factory and that's it.
Right. Right.
Where is it? It's in this little warehouse over there.
That's right.
No, it's a bigger operation than that, but I'm just saying,
Dave says, I like my own ammo. Just feel good, or just a good feeling taking game with something you made. Yeah, absolutely.
I could get that too. Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
But again, GMI would be a great platform, and also, like you were saying, Moose, that you would be interested in like a heavier caliber GMI. You could get that, and then you could go to Corbin's, and Corbin's sells a pourable mold for different size wires. So if I wanted to recover all that lead instead of giving it to my dad for sinkers and stuff, I could pour them in the mold and get 10 sticks 3 inches long of that wire.
Oh, right on.
In a mold, and they make it in all different sizes. If you need a 25 caliber wire or a 23 caliber wire to make a 25 caliber slug, because when you drop it in, it's got to fit in the thing, and then when it gets squished, it fills all that in.
Right.
They have those. Corbin has those dies, those molds, to pour hot lead into them to make your own lead wire.
Nice.
So
nice.
That's good to know too. Particularly if you're going to make them for yourself, and you want something that's absolutely perfect from one to the next. That's you'll get. And you asked before, and I didn't have a chance to answer it. You asked what my weight variance is between these. If I have a weight standard of, say, we'll use 15 grains for argument's sake, I would say an ultra light one might be 4.96, 0.98, and an ultra heavier one might be 15.04. So you're looking at a pretty fine range there. I mean, yeah, I'll take, and to compare that to 8.44 grain JSBs, I found everything in a tin in JSB from 8.08 all the way up to 8.74. So that's a far cry, high and low wise than what you'll get by swaging your own. And you don't have to have all this fancy stuff that I have in order to get that accuracy. If you get the GMI thing and you have a $40 arbor press and you could squish it, or some guys make it out of a little hydraulic bottle jack or something. If you have some kind of a press like that, so be it. There you go.
Right on.
You know, for $300 with equipment and 30 pounds of lead, you're off and running. You know, you don't have to
absolutely. Absolutely. It sounds like you know, I've got a 15-ton press out in my garage. I mean, technically speaking, I guess, yeah, if I bought some dies, I mean, from GMI, I could just
squish away.
Squish. Yep. Makes sense.
And you can't damage them by squishing them. Once it stops, and that's it. You're not going to damage it.
Right.
They tell you, hit them with a hammer. You can do it with a press. You can do it with one of these.
And you order it to your exact grain size, I'm guessing.
No, you could change the grain size on your own. You could put different size washers in it and extend the distance, thus the length of the slug.
Gotcha.
Give GMI, give them another couple like another 6 months, and they're going to have stuff on their website that's not there right now, and you're going to have a lot of options to make some really cool stuff.
Yeah, especially if I could do like 457 stuff, man, I'd be tickled pink.
Well, if you have a large arbor press like that, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
You know, you don't have to go and worry about hammering it like an animal or leaning down on a press such as this. You got a 15-ton thing.
And exactly, because, you know, even if I'm shooting like 357 or 457, I'm not shooting hundreds of them at a time. You know, I mean, I'm using them for hunting. So if I make 50 of them, you know, I've got a weekend of, you know, of pesting or whatever in that caliber, you know, or deer hunting. I mean, how many do you need? You know, I mean, I usually get 6 tags, and I mean, so I need basically 12 rounds just in case.
Right. Well, like with a smaller caliber, like 177 or 22, I would definitely recommend one of these, because if you use that caliber to hunt with and to field target with, if you find one that works and you find an all-around slug that works for everything, you sit for 3 hours a week, you pump out 500 of them, 800 of them, you're good. You're set.
Well,
And
I mean, honestly, if I find a 177 slug that works, then I know a guy. Because they're going to be yours. I mean, so.
Well, the lucky part of that is I don't have a whole lot of orders. I do about an order every 3 to 4 weeks. So I do have to I have to organize this whole place and get everything organized where everything's in bins. And that's my mission for the next month, is to clean this whole place out, go to every nook and cranny, going, throw stuff out that I thought I threw out already and stuff like that. So, I got furniture that's got to go. I don't want taking up space. It's
right on.
Machine tools. I do all of that stuff. I just got to organize everything. Once I get off and running, though, I'm going to be pumping out some more videos and some more slugs, and I'll be off and rolling.
So when are the 22s coming? When are the 22 calibers coming?
Dies? We're gonna see. If I want to see what the 177s from GMI look like, and if that's promising and they can make this die that'll fit in my machine and work, then we'll get a couple of them.
Right.
I don't know a whole lot about 22s, other than it's a 2S nose shape is what they're using. But as far as diameter goes, I know that different guns like different slugs. I'm just curious on does anyone know what the most popular diameters are? Because I know Nielsen makes 216, 217.
They're 217.
217 seems to be the
that is for sure the most popular size.
Then I have a die made in
go first at the shops, and like I can tell you right now, you can go buy Nielsen's up at High Pressure Pneumatics in 218 all day long. The problem is all the 217s are gone.
So it's a 217 thing.
It is. They seem to do the best.
But you also have to remember that if I get 217 dies and I do produce those, I can make them in any weight, known to man, within reason. I'll have to go and also buy 22 caliber wire, because this wire will not work for the 22s. So I would have to also purchase a batch of 22 wire as well.
Yep. Well, I got a
actually 21 caliber.
That's going to need all kinds of 22 caliber stuff.
So well, if it gets popular enough, I take this beautiful press, or I buy another one. I walk a block and a half away to my buddy's house and have his kid just make them all day. If it goes over that big, hey, this is your job now.
Right.
And my buddy would love that, because he's a special needs kid, and he goes, you put him to work and he's going to stay in my house. He goes, what else can I ask for? He goes, that's a score all the way around.
Right.
So, and he's not a kid. I mean, he's 30-something years old, but he's very, very meticulous and careful.
Right on.
So we already spoke, and then he's like 100%. He goes, and he even said, he goes, what a great way. He goes, he has a job. You'll give him a job. He's doing right for you, and you get to keep. He goes, I get to keep him in my house, and I don't have to force him to stay in my house. There you go. I says, score for everybody. Wow.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, personally, I think you should start selling off your stuff. I mean, We'll see how the BSA likes the slugs, but I have a feeling it's going to love them.
I'm hoping too, because then I'll have to get one. I'm trying to find something a slug works in at slower velocities.
Right.
And if there's a magic gun out there that does shoot them at lower velocities, I'll get it in a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah, I'm absolutely in love with that gun, man. I absolutely love it. And pellet wise, it seems to really like the 10 grainers. It really seems to like the air arms. So I got a picture here. Check this out. I'll show you a picture of one of my groups. I was pushing my luck. Let me get that out of the light glare.
And how far is that?
That's 50 yards with a 10.3 out of that BSA.
With a little bit of wind.
At air arms, yep, the air arms. And I shot the whole group, and that one that's a flyer right there. I'm trying to know where that light glare is coming from. But that one little flyer up there, that was the last one. And I thought to myself, that was 10 shots. And I got 9 of them all in the same hole. And I was like blown away. I'm like, dude, this gun is freaking driving tacks. I'm like, at 50 yards, I mean, that's less than what a 50-yard target in HFT is going to be. And I thought, dude, you should just stop now and take a picture. And I went, no, I'm going to shoot 10. I'm going to be honest. And sure as shit, the wind picked up a little bit, and it just put that one flyer out there. But
Michigan Air Gunner says you could buy a larger die and resize them as needed.
Larger die and resize them as needed.
You might be able to do that. I found with the resizing dies I have for 177s, they do not like having slugs put through them, and it's a one diameter resizing die, as opposed to the tapered one that TR Rob makes over in England. Resizing dies are meant for more for pellets, where you have that thin contact area of the head and a little bit larger contact area of the skirt and the back. To force a slug through an actual resizing die meant for a pellet, don't know. I tried resizing some of my slugs in a resizing die I have, and in my opinion, it didn't work as smoothly or as I expected. Yes, it did resize them, but there was a considerable amount of pressure needed to do that. Now, whether or not that there's resizing dies, and that's exactly what I was going to bring up for reloading. I don't know what resizing dies would be available for reloading stuff, but that might be more appropriate to resize a slug using a reloading die such as that. So that for 22, which very well might be an option. I've already looked at and investigated 17 caliber sizing dies, and they would not be appropriate for what we use, because 17 caliber proper that they use in the powder burner world is basically your lands and grooves are like 172, I think, and 168 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I have a barrel that's a 17 caliber powder burner barrel that's a 171 and a 173. So that might be a little bit more realistic for a resizing thing. But generally, I found that 177 dies probably wouldn't work for what we're doing them for. So a 22, most definitely. I think that would be a viable option. In fact, I've been dibbling and dabbling, looking at resizing dies in 22 in particular, kind of for that reason, just in case you wanted to resize it or whatever, see how that would work out. But My goal is to find something that fits to begin with, and then you don't have to do anything to it. Once I find the right combination, even with my 177s for field target use and to work out of some of my barrels at a lower speed, once I find that magic die and pellet, I'll buy a second one or a third one, just to have those dies to maybe change the nose shape and everything to see what different ballistics I can get out of them.
No, right on. Cool.
I have checked NOE, not recently, so I might have to look that up again. But I know they have resizing dies of some form.
Yeah, honestly, I like the idea of just starting with what works.
Yeah.
It's just one more step. You figure for every 500, that's 500 resizers you got to do. I mean, you're just doubling work for, it's easier just to.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to find something that works with this reloading thing, a one-shot deal. I mean, what I was doing to get 200 or 300 pellets for a Grand Prix weekend for field target, I got to take a tin of pellets. And a tin of JSBs isn't enough. I got to go through 3 tins in order to get 200 or 300 of them that are perfect to each other. I got to weigh them. The first thing I do is weigh them all. That takes time between the 3 tins. You're probably talking between 6 and 8 hours to weigh all that accurately for those 3 tins. Then I got to pick a weight that I like out of those weights that I subtract them into and pick one weight that obviously there's the most of. Then then I got to check head size. Check the head size for them. Make sure all the head sizes, cull them out. That takes another hour and a half to do all of those. Then what I do is I roll them. I roll them to make sure that the skirt is the same size on all of them. That's what rolling them does. I have a video on my website describing how that's done. And you roll them after you weigh them and check head size, because now you know the head size is exactly the same. Now, if a skirt is a bit larger than the other one, it's going to roll in a different arc down your device you make. If you look on the website, you can see how it's made and all of that and what we do to it. And there's a couple of guys on YouTube that make like a culling box. It's a simple box that the pellet falls right through, and that's the batch that they keep, and everything else that hits. Yep, it does sound like a lot of work, but you know what? And then to do all of that, you're probably looking at between 10 and 12 hours just to get a set of pellets that work for field target. Now, you get some people going, well, the world champion guy just picks them out of the tin. That's all he does. And yes, he does. The problem is he got those pellets when JSB made pellets to perfection, and he bought 50,000 of them 10 years ago, and he still has 30,000 of them left.
Right.
You don't have to weigh. You don't have to check head size for him. So when he says he doesn't do none of that crap, he don't.
But once again, when there's $21,000 on the line at Armac, I can take 8 hours to measure or weigh out my pellets.
Yes.
Anything gives you a little bit more of an edge. Absolutely.
And that's another thing. After you're done doing the skirts and you get a whole batch that's perfect, now what I do is I take what's called a shaker box and I shake them, and it's the pellet inspector thing. You turn it upside down, and I take a magnifying glass and I look at all the heads, and I physically look at the heads to see if there's any nicks, dents, flats in them, because that'll put a pellet out too. And everyone says, oh, it's too much work and this and that. Well, before I started doing that, I would get out of a 60-shot match, I'd be getting 51, 52, 49, 48. I would have a lot of mystery shots, and a couple of them would be me misreading the wind and me just messing up the shot. I'm human. I put some of the blame on that too. But I would get 5 or 6 shots in a match back then where dead calm wind, 30 yards, and the thing goes this far out. And I'm not flinching, and it's not me. I expected 55 yards. I expect all these pellets to make it through a hole about the size of that. It shouldn't be two inches out. And once I started culling my pellets, I started weighing them. I would get less. I checked the head size on them. I got even less. And now it's to a point where I very rarely get a shot where I can't explain it. I'll have maybe one of those a match instead of 5 or 6 of them. So, and my scores after I started doing that, they showed it. Soon after I started culling all of my pellets in that manner, I mean, I was getting 58s and 59s out of 60 several times. So I think there is some merit to doing it, particularly for competition use. If I'm going into the World Championships or the Nationals, I'm going to do all this stuff to have the best stuff I can. If it's a local match, probably not.
Right.
That's me.
Well, that being said, you guys, we have been at this for about an hour and 6 minutes. So that's going to be it for this episode of Airguns Michigan Live with Tom on Tuesdays. Man, we've been doing this for a while. So as always, we're going to end this with a little Pantera. And I'm Moose. He's Tom Holland. This is Airguns Michigan. We'll catch you guys tomorrow night live.
Check out
Predator
YouTube. Check out YouTube. Subscribe. I need more so I can do this. I can't do this yet.
That's right.
So once I do, I'll be doing this too. Down the road a little bit.
Like I said, tomorrow night, Joe.
Good night, guys.
Tune in.